Hello, how are you? I hope you're good.
We don't go the same places that we used to go.
Today I'm going to do that annual thing where I look at my previous year's goals, absolutely have no idea what the goals were, watch me be surprised by them, and then say that, oh, I did not do that. I was about to say that I'm joking, but I'm not. That is what it is. But I kind of find it really fun. It's something that I really look forward to watching other people do every year, and also myself. It's almost like a little, oh hello. It's almost like a little message for my future self to roast me, and let's be honest, something has to be roasted at some point in this channel, so... But it's kind of interesting to me just to be surprised as to what a year ago I thought I wanted to do by the time that I'm living here. But today I wanted to watch my previous goals video from 2020, then talk about the goals that I do want to kind of loosely set for myself this year. I think they look a tiny bit different. I don't know, we'll see. It's not like I really remember what I said last time. Let me try and figure out and remember how to screen record with sound while still hearing it. Okay. So this is probably an hour later and a couple of third-party extensions later. Think I figured it out. Let's do it. Challenge how many books I want to read. I think I'm gonna set it to 55. No, you know what? I'm gonna keep it at 65 and I'm gonna see if I struggle to achieve that in 2020. Oh, you little bean. You're not just gonna struggle to achieve that number. You're just gonna struggle in general. Yeah, no, I did not achieve that. I read 43 books. I think 3 of them were DNFs, so technically 40. Depends where you kind of draw the line. And I'm fine with it. I really want to continue to mentally place way more value in the books that I read and the books that I enjoy reading. Reading 40 comics is not the same as reading 40 bigger books, and it also doesn't matter. Both are valid. I think I'm already okay with that. The only type of pressure that I feel about it is content-wise, because I am a slow reader as is, so if I choose bigger books, then it will take me a very long time to read, and I feel like I cannot keep up, which is something that I have to work on internally, and it's nobody else's fault. I want to continue to look at it very loosely as a motivational tool, which I think a lot of people use it as that. Did not reach the first goal. Continue. Number 2 is to start annotating books. I actually have already kind of started doing this. Okay, genuinely did not remember setting this goal. I think I did end up annotating the whole Starlisty, and I still adore the idea, and I think I kind of almost envy the readers that can persevere with that and can implement that into their reading. I just am coming to terms that I don't think that I am, as much as I romanticize the idea of that and books being loved and having your notes in the book. So I struggle with continuity of the books as is when reading, and I just think that having to stop to write something down is just not something that I implement into my reading whilst not hindering it, which is really sad because I truly wholeheartedly wish that I could. I think there was another book that I have annotated when I was reading it. Middle ground. I'd say I'd give myself some leeway on this one. I'd say I half fulfilled it. To host the owls and newts again, I really want to keep that going. It does. Okay, I'm not gonna linger on this. It's a painful thing for me. We had the owls and we didn't have the newts. However, that was 100% already prepared and wasn't due to me. So I'm gonna count this as a yes, I did do that, and we gotta move on. Goal number 4 is to read more sci-fi. Read more sci-fi. I constantly want to read more, and I don't particularly succeed at it. It was to read more than 6 sci-fi books. So let me check how many sci-fi books I actually have read. 7? Is that 7? 7! By 1. Which I think is okay. I still had more fantasy, which was 13. 2 graphic novels. 2 graphic novels. Oh, but 5 comics. Okay, that's not too bad. But overall, I think I've read through more genres than I normally do. There are actually 3 romances, which is very unusual for me. Only 1 pathetic thriller, which will be a goal later on because that's unacceptable. But yes, I succeeded regarding sci-fi. Number 5 is create and use Copile Tracker. This is the... Oh, I did do that! I completely forgot that that was my actual goal. I did do that, and now I also did a reworked version for 2020. If you want a system for reading books, I'll leave that down below. But I did do that, yay me! Oh, so not too bad, to be honest. So creating it is one thing, but it's for me to actually do that throughout the year. Again, we'll see at the end of 2020. Oh, I did actually keep up with it, and I'm very, very excited to use the new one. I'm excited by new colors and some new categories and like tracking series and whatnot. Very excited. Number 6 is read at least 25 TBR books from the shelves. I don't even remember writing that, you know? Well, I don't even remember saying that out loud. I don't know. Let me look at the spreadsheet. I read 12. Didn't meet that one by a long shot. Now that I have TB Avatar and one of its rules is for me not buying books, I actually think that I'm going to be reading way more of the books that I already own, which is one of the main reasons why I actually placed that rule. Very hard to follow, I will say. Girl is struggling currently, especially with all of the anticipated releases videos coming out and the favorites of the year. Struggling. I'm just gonna swap that to 20. Oh, and I still didn't get it. Oh, keep the Goodreads books I own type of tracker. Okay, no, I did do that. I definitely went off the rails for majority of the year, I'd say, but once I had to figure this out for TB Avatar, and I knew that I had to keep it up to date so I can actually check when the prompt comes up, I'm gonna say that I have completed this one. The next goal, I think it would be number 8, is again, I'm gonna name a couple of specific books that I would like to target. Zero idea, zero. I think the Name of the Wind was in there. And if we're going by all the years prior, The Lies of Lamore, like from year to year, I almost feel like this is a ritual now, so have like a tradition, you know? I don't know for sure, but I have a feeling. Okay, let's see. This year as my victims. So first of all, I really need to get my ass into the Stormlight Archives fan. Hey, I did it! Technically, still need to read part 2 that are published here in UK in paperbacks as 2 different books. I know they're the same book. Don't at me, I know. And it is on my priority list, it's on my priority TBR card now. But I did start. To mention The Name of the Wind, I'm not gonna hold myself too tightly to that, like, I did not read that. I also have Ninth House here, I did not read that! And my interest actually simmered because people that I trust, they didn't particularly love this one, but the more time passes between those reviews and me just looking back at it and being like, oh, this is this concept that I really want to try. So I think I'm still gonna give it a go, but definitely did not this year. Red Sister, I did try this. I DNF'd it. Unpopular opinion. Maybe this is my channel name. It should be Loud Book Roast. G's Unpopular Opinions. And the last one is Eliza Locklamora. We've seen that before somewhere, didn't we? No, did not try it. I think those are the main like focuses for me, and I think they're all adult. I did actually read way more adult books this year. So out of all of the books that I've read, 25, which is 61% of them, were adult. For me, reading-wise, is to have like a dedicated spread for a favorite book that month in my bullet journals. I did do that for a little while, I think, but that's because after setting up June, I actually did not have enough mental health left over and continue with the bullet journal. However, I do plan on starting, so I'm going to upload a very late 2021 reading journal setup, and I have something planned for the books that I read as well, so we'll see how that goes. Literally not even setting a goal because I just want to see how it goes. I think that's all of the goals from that video, so I think I did okay overall. I actually probably failed the least compared to some other years, which is a nice surprise. Let me talk about some of the goals I'm setting for myself for 2021. The goals are fairly loose. As for the number of books, I am going to put 50. It's probably ambitious, and if I don't reach it, that's totally fine. I am a very slow reader, both in my actual pace and also just mentally getting to read. Goal is not to read more this year, but to spend my time in a more wise way. Block out my time wiser, and I think by extension it would lead to me reading more. So my priority is to get my sleeping back in order. I suffer from bouts of insomnia, and the recent one really threw me off entirely, where my sleeping pattern is just very inconvenient. But I would love to wake up earlier, and if I do go for a walk, then to listen to an audiobook or something like that. And then I would also like to use my phone less before bed, to read more then. So I don't necessarily want to read more, but I do want to read a bit more consistently. So I guess that's the goal. I want to read more thrillers, which again, I think I read one in 2020. So I would like to read more than that, because thrillers is something that I enjoy, especially if they're sci-fi techno thrillers. So if you know any thrillers that are not Blake Crouch but also have time fuckery in there, definitely let me know. So actually, after checking how much sci-fi I've read, I think I'm kind of okay with that amount. However, I still would like to focus, to be kind of conscious more sci-fi as well, or at least around the same amount. I would also like to continue with TB Avatar, apart from if I'm taking any breaks for a specific project. I would like for the TB Avatar to continue to be a thing in this year. I want to read at least one book written by a Lithuanian author in my native tongue. I would like to not forget my native language, especially outside just like chit-chatty way, you know. I want to be proficient in that one, because it's ridiculous that I am somewhat slipping out of it, especially now that I cannot visit. I definitely want to read more comics. I feel like I just failed 2020 in comics. I really enjoyed comics, but I think the ones that I read were just kind of like midway, 3 stars, okay, but nothing that I'm obsessed with. I would also like to, once I actually get to buy some books from completing the TB Avatar cycle, I would like to include some of the books that I just sourced myself. So I know this is a bit an odd one, I guess, but I would like to find some books that I just found and I've heard nothing about, and I did not look at the review for the most part. I didn't see it on BookTube or any other platform. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, by the way. I just want to find something and be like, oh my god, that sounds kind of cool, I'm gonna try it, and just kind of go into it blindly and see what I find. And going back to, I think this was my goal in 2019, is I would like to be more ruthless with my DNFs. I think I was like that in my 2019, but in 2020, maybe because I had more book club reads, I always try to give the book clubs more so a benefit of the doubt, because then I obviously have to host them and carry the conversation. However, recently I have DNF'd one, even though it was like an 160-page mark, so I already had stuff to talk about, but I think that I can actually hold up a conversation and host a conversation pretty well, even if I DNF a book. And I know that people who are reading with me would rather me DNF it than go into a slump and then just have a chat about it and listen to their thoughts. But there's this like weird thought in my brain that like I will suffer as much as I can to not DNF or like a book club read, because I just don't want to disappoint people around or make it look like I'm not putting in an effort. But then it often leads me into procrastinating from reading and actually not reading and then going into a slump. So I would like to once again be a bit more ruthless with my DNFs. I think that I get a pretty good idea around like page 50. I read slowly, so I think that it's not worth spending all that time on a book that I'm just not sure about. And maybe I would have changed my mind, but is it worth the risk? I don't know, you know? Value my own time a bit more and not fall into this responsibility trap that actually is just a little bit distorted and not really true to reality. Another kind of loose goal is that I would like to maybe start a book talk. Again, as I said, TikTok, I've loved that app throughout 2020. It's been a massive help for me to just find laughter. It's so dumb. I love it. It's so dumb. Actually, even when I'm scrolling through TikTok, I still get some book talk in there, but majority of my actual kind of content is elsewhere, but Book Talk is really awesome and I kind of like to participate. So I might have already created it. I will put it here and I'll link it in the description bar if I manage to put a video there. I'm not sure if it's gonna be just the same one I've put on Instagram Reels at some point. Am I starting another project? One's not really having enough time for everything else as it is? I think so. I think that's what's happening. Then I think lastly, I'm gonna again name a couple of books just for myself in the future to react to being like, oh my god, I completely forgot about these books, and see if I randomly did pick them up. The Catch Up with Becky Chambers series, the Wayfarer one. So I need to read the third, the novella, and then the fourth. So let's see if I've done that. I would like to continue with Red Rising, at least for the main trilogy, so to read the second and the third. I want to start the Poppy War. I want to continue with Stormlight for sure. Another one is I want to start reading Beckman as an author, or at least dip my toes and try one and see how I feel about that. It's an author I have extremely high expectations for, and I'm not quite sure which one I'm gonna start with, but I am very excited to start. And then 3 other books that I'm not too set on, but I would like, if I could, to incorporate them somewhere in my TBR, and that is The Blade Itself by Joey Abercrombie, the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, and Another Thing of the Seasons is the Bone season by Samantha Shannon. So those are the 3 that I would like. But since all of them are at the beginning of new series, I think I would probably want to go and continue with the ones that I have already started. But knowing me, I'll probably read those and I'll continue with the ones that I mentioned. And both options are fine. So those are my goals. Let me know what yours are. Love to hear that in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was fun. And yeah, stay awesome, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Now, oh,